They're an Aussie icon, but for decades the global UggBoot name has been owned by Deckers, an American footwear giant. Deckers guards its billion-dollar brand by suing any Australian exporter that misuses the word Ugg. Now a Sydney boot maker has begun counteraction against Deckers, arguing the word Ugg rightfully belongs to Australia. Anne Barker has more.
Eddie Oyger makes tens of thousands of Ugg boots a year, but he's banned from using the name Ugg overseas. It's a generic term in Australia, but elsewhere it's an American-owned brand.
Unfortunately, we have to compete in Australia and we can't export our products out.
The famous Ugg boots come a long way from the 70s surf scene. It's now a luxury product sold around the world, and Deckers routinely sues any Australian company that breaches its trade rights.
They've got it registered in about 130 countries around the world.
Deckers is taking Eddie Oyger's company to court, alleging trademark violation. But now the Sydney bootmaker is countersuing Deckers, arguing the trademarks are based on a falsehood.
We can establish that case, then we're going to be seeking an order from the court that they be invalidated.
An Australian entrepreneur, Brian Smith, registered the Ugg name in 1985 and later sold it to Deckers. At the time, he stated the word Ugg had no trade meaning in Australia, implying he'd invented the word. But his autobiography tells a different story.
In his book, he talks about the fact that he knew quite well himself that the word Ugg was a very big word in Australia at the time.
Old surf magazines could help prove Ugg was a generic term in 1970, not just in Australia. Deckers argues the fraud claims have been raised before but lack merit. A win for Eddie Oyger would open the global market to all Australian Ugg boot makers.
We'll have a market of 350 million people to supply potential customers in the United States.
He's also seeking a ruling in Australia that Deckers is guilty of deceptive conduct by using the word Australia when its boots are clearly made in China. Anne Barker, ABC News.